Just sitting on my new Skidoo Scandic 900 Ace here, and probably the next time you see me on this, I'm going to be heading up to my camp. That's the off-grid cabin that Tori and I own up in Northern Ontario, and it's a remote cabin, so it's a good haul to get out there by snowmobile, and too far to realistically walk with the kids because we're looking at probably about 20 to 25 clicks, and you got to go through some back lakes to even get there. So we need a reliable machine that can haul heavy loads like firewood and all that kind of stuff. And that's why I got the Scandic, and it's great off trail and deep snow as well. So looking forward to using that. Tonight's video is going to be a little backwards, if you want to call it that, because it's going to be kind of like Pulp Fiction style. So it's going to be live today, and it's going to be about fall adventures. It was a big edit, and I tried working with an editor, like a company that does editing. Anyways, it just didn't really work out, and I had to basically start all over again. But I wanted to share the stuff from my deer hunting out of a canvas tent in a timely manner, and I wanted to share my close up of our cabin and a little deer hunting I did up there, getting firewood and all that kind of stuff. So I just put that out first, and now we're going back in time to before that. So I'm taking you back to just a little before the Canadian Thanksgiving long weekend, and you can expect to see me harvesting squash and beans from our Three Sisters garden. Then me and my son Hudson exploring some trails in central Ontario, east of Bancroft, trying to find a trout lake, doing a little fishing. Me cutting wood here at my house, and then me and my buddy accessing this remote backcountry lake to scout a new area to potentially deer hunt there. And we strapped the canoe to the Segway side by side and bomb in there, and then basically canoe this lake, fish, camp out, and a bunch of other cool things too. We do a little partridge hunting or rough grouse hunting, and I have like a big wild feast with what we harvested and fish we caught, and the partridge that I hunted that day. So yeah, pretty cool video. But it's, you know, here we're in winter here. So you're going to start seeing some early winter content, and then some late winter content coming out too. And yeah, you know what? That's just kind of one of the challenges that goes on behind the scenes here when you're running a YouTube channel, is getting all the content out in a timely manner. Like a lot of YouTubers, they want to find more footage, and they don't have enough footage. With me, it's almost kind of the opposite. I always have so much footage to share. It's like so many things to share because I film these long trips a lot of the time. It's like, how do I possibly get all that content edited and out of there? And so I'm trying different things. One of the things I want to do is, if you saw my 5 years of trout fishing video, is go back and, you know, take some of those older videos, mix with some newer stuff, and condense them down into like documentaries that are a couple hours long or more. So you might see some more of those surrounding winter coming out, and I got a few more ideas for those as well. So maybe I'll try to get one of those up every 6 weeks or something like that. I also want to do a documentary of my Hood River trip that sort of condenses the whole journey down, and we have more to share from the Yukon as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, just Tori's doing the bulk of the editing on that. You probably saw the last video how Wesley had seizures when we were finishing our Teslin and Yukon River canoe trip, and everything's fine. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and about some of the challenges with our son Wesley. When you get the news that your child's going to be, you know, severely disabled. Hey North, come here boy, come on. When you get the news that your son's going to be severely disabled, it's a really big blow. And it's so easy to just go down that path of negativity. So easy to go down that path of just getting depressed about it. And you know what I mean? And this goes for like anything in life, right? Um, it's what happens is your mind kind of defaults to these horrible negative ideas, right? So I kept imagining Wesley, well, when we got this diagnosis, I kept imagining, what's it going to be like when Tori and I aren't here anymore? Is there going to be a guy that is being abused in some poorly managed home somewhere? He started taking this medication that was staining his teeth, and I was worried it was rotting his teeth, and I kept getting this like horrible mental picture. Maybe this is pretty dark, but it is what it is. I kept getting this horrible mental picture of Wesley or somebody that looked just like me with his teeth rotted out and being abused in a home with nobody around him that cares about him. And it was just this horrible image to shake. And what I learned actually through a therapy session that me and Tori took, the two of us, to try to deal with this, just to try to give us what's a good mental path to try to cope and be better parents for Wesley. And basically the sum of what it was is that positive thoughts for the future equal power in the present. So what we were told is that this takes some work, but every time you have one of these horrible negative thoughts, well, that's just really made up in your mind. That's not really happening, and it's not necessarily ever going to happen. So why not stop right there and replace that with something positive for the future? And honestly, it doesn't even matter if it's even realistic. Okay, so you're taking that negative thing and you're replacing it with something positive, even if it's, imagining Wesley winning the pole vault championships in the Olympics in 10 years. That would be better for sure, because that's what gives you power in the present, and that's what trains your mind to stop going down the negative road and trains it to keep going on the positive road. And the more we think a certain way, the more we train our mind. That's why you see a lot of people get worse from mental illness as opposed to better, because that same thought pattern, those same channels in the brain is probably not the word, but they get stronger and faster, and you actually get better at being sadder and harder to be happy, and vice versa. So Tori and I work really at doing that for a long time. And the reason that I was really serious about it is because of that kind of dark place that the other side saw from us. And it's not that Wesley isn't developing and that he has chances to develop more than he has or anything, but it's something that we're never really going to be erased. There's no way that he is just miraculously going to overnight or even in a significant amount of time be a typical child, right? It's very rare. And so thinking all these negative things about it is really not going to solve anything, and they just really suck you in and essentially into a negative place that's a dead end. And because of that, because I know what a dead end that is and how serious that is and how serious that would be for my mental health and for the betterment of our family and for our ability to care for Wesley and now care for Hudson and live the lives that we want to live, which are, definitely different than the average person's life. That's the life I want to live. And in order to do that, I knew that I couldn't go there because it was a dark place. And I just forced myself to not go there. Why? Because there's no other choice. So I just replaced those thoughts with powerful thoughts. I imagine him running around the campfire. I imagine him, paddling a canoe, or I imagine him talking. In fact, just this morning, Wesley said mama for the very first time. We had some speech and language experts work with him a couple weeks ago that noticed he was mimicking what they're saying, and they said, yeah, he is talking, he is saying words, and decided to work with him in a more substantial way because they saw that progress. And it's the first time he ever said mama, and I was feeding him breakfast. Tori was sleeping because she wasn't feeling well, and I was giving him breakfast, and he kept yelling, and I said, honey, Wesley, just use your speaking words, because he'll sometimes just yell if he's hungry or yell if he's cold. It's pretty cute, actually. I said, use your speaking words. Well, as I was getting him dressed, and he was facing towards the bedroom door where Tori was, what turns out, just getting up, and I was putting his shirt on, putting his coat on, so he knew that it's getting ready to leave, and he hadn't seen his mama yet. And he looked at the bedroom door, and he reached out and goes, "Mama, mama," and says "mama," very well, actually, in a high-pitched voice, but really clearly. Right, probably one of the clearest things he's ever said. And I was amazing. And sure enough, just by chance, Tori happened to walk out the door. And so Wesley got that immediate, hey, I talk and something happens. So super, super exciting to see that. And those are the kinds of things that I replace the negative thoughts with. And, it's this horrible dark thing is like just the thought, my little boy is in a wheelchair. Just let that simmer for yourself for a second. My little boy is in a wheelchair. And, if I could still cry if I connected with that right now. And as I was walking up the stairs, I looked at his wheelchair the other day, and I still battle with this to an extent, but I looked at his wheelchair and I'm like, that's my little boy's wheelchair. My little boy's in a wheelchair. And I kind of felt that sad feeling, but then I just kind of thought like, oh, who cares? Or like whatever, and it wasn't to downplay the fact that that those emotions are there, but it was really that I've gotten over that, the sadness of it. And I'm not beating myself up, oh, boo-hoo, your little boys. No, it's that it doesn't affect me anymore because of that, mental path that I've been on. And it does not affect me in the same kind of way as it once did, where there's tears and sleepless nights and a very traumatic feeling. So yeah, I think that really for me can go in a lot of positive directions in life. You keep thinking where your life is going in a negative path that you don't like, and you keep thinking of these negative things that might happen and how it's going to turn out, or how stop and correct them with positive ones, even if they're not realistic. And that will give you the power in the present to take action and give you the energy that you need to actually get to those places that you want to be. And take it from me, because this is extremely true, whether you're having a disability of your own, whether you have a child with disabilities, whether you just want to get out there and clean the garage, because that's just like a horrible thing to comprehend, which I'm sure we can all relate to an extent. I highly recommend using that path because it works. And, not that I'm perfect or anything. I feel like these types of things in mental health, they do take a bit of work. And, the best way you can really deal with those things is by just connecting with yourself, looking down into yourself, connecting with who you really are, and, asking yourself, how would the real me do this? How would the real me say yes or no to this question or occurrence that is presented in front of you? And we all are go through so much as kids. We're told this is good, this is bad. There's teachers, there's all this. A lot of us start to feel like we're not comfortable being our true selves, and we all start to act a certain way to fit in and all that kind of stuff. And it's when you can drop all that and really be your true self that the right people and the right things start to come into your life. And you just got to know that, the war is over, and that those things that pushed you into acting a certain way that was different from who you are for the most part over now once you're an adult. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't learn from maybe getting burned in the past and stuff like that, but approaching the situation that we've had with Wesley's disability as my true self, imagining positive thoughts for the future, all these are just like the psychological ways that I can just be a happy dude. And thank God for that, and just provide Wesley with the kind of life that he deserves. So just wanted to get personal with everyone there and share a bit of my journey. Enjoy all the videos that are coming up, including the one tonight, which is a reverse in time from my regular feed. So we have now, we're gonna have a little more content from the Arctic, but more stuff from the family trips in the Yukon, living in a cabin, going up the Dempster, exploring the trails. And then we're going to have, and then I have my other sort of thread, which is kind of like the more stuff I'm doing in real time, which has been like deer hunting in the canvas tent, closing down the cabin. And then on that thread, I'm going back in time. So we're going to show you a lead up to before I went deer hunting. So tonight's video, or if you check it out, it's going to be called Chasing Fall. That's what it's going to call on the thumbnail. So if you're watching this later on, the video Chasing Fall is going to be a prequel to my canvas tent deer hunting and my solo at the cabin video. So hope you enjoy it all. Stay tuned, and obviously I'd be really appreciative if you would subscribe. I'm hoping to do more of these types of videos too. So have a good evening, everyone.